Me and my friends have been playing a lot of online Dungeons and Dragons lately because of quarantine and all. I was actually writing down the story beats, and I think it could actually make for an interesting web series. So let's give that a shot, shall we? So next to me you see our ragtag group of misfits. A colorful bunch, that's for sure. Not pictured here is the DM, of course. So let me introduce you to them. First off, we have Daniel. Daniel B. Covington. He's a feline bard, and any likeness with Puss in Boots is completely accidental. Okay, to be honest, that was his first profile picture, and it kind of just stuck around. Next up, we have the J. The J Lively. I forgot if he was a dwarf or a gnome, but he's a warlock. Most importantly, he's tiny. Next up, we have Eyes McCone. And this is actually my character. He's a ice type dragonborn, so he has ice breath and all that stuff. Since it's my character, I drew him extra challenged, looking like a chicken. He's kind of based on the skinks in Warhammer. Next up, we have Cho'Gall. He is a Goliath, and he is the brute of our team for sure. More muscle than brains, let's just say that. Spoiler alert, he's the holder of the Killing Spree record. Next up we have Kaito Mizu, and I believe he is a Genasi, which means that he has the elemental power of water. So he has a blue skin and he can breathe underwater. Oh, and I almost forgot, he is a monk. Super Zen and all that stuff. And then last but not least, we have Farosh, who is the leader of the pack, also a dragonborn. And because he's the leader, I gave him a little sensei mustache situation. So that is our group. I started taking notes of our sessions about halfway in the first session, so I am missing the very beginning, but let's see if we can figure it out. So our group of characters are all low-rank army recruits. So low that they weren't even allowed to have horses, so these are lowly foot soldiers. So in between our army camp and a town, about an hour or two away from us, a supply run kept getting hindered by wolf attacks. Wolves were never really an issue before, but ever since the wizard disappeared from the nearby village, these wolf attacks became more and more common. So our characters were sent out on foot to investigate. I think actually the town was further away because halfway through the trip, the characters set up camp for the night. They placed some wolf traps, and then they would leave early in the morning to continue their journey. So the first night was pretty uneventful. They leave in the morning, and then they run into a supply convoy, which is in the middle of being attacked. They rush to aid the convoy that is being attacked. They jump in to help out the convoy, and they manage to chase off the wolves. And actually, during the heat of the battle, they accidentally tear off the tail of the wolf pack leader. Cho'Gall, our big brute, actually twisted his ankle, but then luckily Farosh was quick to heal him. After that, Cho'Gall obliterated most of the wolves, and in the end, they only lost one farmer from the convoy. And afterwards, Kaito skins all the other wolves for trophy tails, because once you have one tail, you might as well collect them all. Eyes McCone decides to make a drum out of a wolf skull. He likes dragging instruments around, even though he's not the bard in this team. So our group returns to camp afterwards. They have a little celebration, and the farmers are very thankful. They also get compliments from the lieutenant, who buys some new equipment for them. And then it's time for another night's rest. In the morning, they leave in the same direction, but this time with a carriage and 2 horses. So now they finally got the privilege of using horses. They pass by the body of the dead farmer that they forgot to bury the first night, so they decide to give him a proper burial. When they finally arrive at the next village, they see a giant castle. In this castle lives the mayor, who is currently not home. They end up finding the disillusioned mayor in torn clothing, collecting herbs in a nearby edge of the forest. The Jay is asked to step back and let Daniel B do the talking, because this turned out to be a very hostile first greeting. So Daniel attempts to start a conversation with the bewildered looking mayor. Immediately, he gets threatened by a scythe to the neck. Good job, Daniel. The group decides to calm him down by reporting on the wolves that they fought yesterday. The mayor ends up lowering his scythe and talking to them fairly reasonably. And the team asks him what he's doing, collecting herbs and looking like a hermit. He says that he has enhanced senses for magic, potions, brewing, that kind of stuff. But he is not the wizard. Or is he? This was very unclear. This is not some kind of huge plot twist setup. He tells them about his daughter that had disappeared. Is this the magician? We assume so. When nighttime comes, the team spreads out over 2 watchtowers in town, and they take turns napping. They've also set up a couple of traps for wolves, just in case. At night, 5 howls can be heard, but not a single trap was set off. So half of our team sets out to investigate in the middle of the night. They find a dead guard at the bridge, and they follow tracks from there to the forest entrance, where they hear a woman scream. This is when the group gets attacked by another wave of wolves. Ice McCone actually ends up splitting a wolf skull with a ray of frost all the way from the watchtower. They hear a woman scream, and a wave of wolves attack the group. Here I actually missed a bit of story with my notes, but long story short, they save a woman who is unconscious. The Jay ends up using a potion on her to heal her. After this fight, Kaito collects some more tails for the collection, and he decorates the cart with it. They then return back to town. The woman is delivered at the infirmary and handed over to the plague doctors. I mean, I guess they're just regular doctors, but they all look like plague doctors for no reason other than it's cool. Ice and the Jay end up following the woman and keeping an eye on her in the hospital, just in case. The woman ends up not being the missing daughter, but a friend of hers. The rest of the group is being led into the castle. This is around daybreak, very early in the morning. The mayor opens up, all sleepy. He ends up rewarding the team greatly. Meanwhile, Ice and the Jay question a doctor. The woman has a bracelet with a silver pendant. She also has some marks that look like bite marks or friction marks. Back in the castle's dining room, Daniel questions a guard. Chogal is also present, and he notices a strange lack of food storage. They're not very well prepared for anything. So you can see how a wolf attack would immediately be disastrous for this little village. This town is wealthy, but it depends on steady supply runs. The guard that was questioned is actually from another town. He's simply here to save up, a bit of that sweet freelance money, because apparently working in this town pays well. Then it's nighttime. It's a very quiet night, luckily. In the morning, they group up at the infirmary. The woman has woken up. The woman remembers walking in the field alone. Then suddenly, wolves. The next thing she remembers is waking up to an ugly gnome. She's talking about the Jay. He was hanging over her, standing on the bed because he's so tiny. And also, he doesn't know boundaries. The team decides to explore deeper into the forest. They end up finding a cave. Daniel and the Jay go in first. Chogal, Kaito, and Ice were smart enough to all bring torches. Daniel does a light spell to compensate for the fact that he was not thinking ahead, I guess. The group finds a pile of skulls. On closer inspection, it appears to be from 2 males and 1 female. These skulls are mainly picked clean. These look like feeding grounds. Ooh, scary cliffhanger. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I might just send you a deck of Boss Battle Bunnies. It's not sponsored or anything, because I designed it myself, but yeah, catch you in the next one.